Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now August 15th of 2023, and given that there's a lot of things happening right now between everything Disney in general, Marvel, Star Wars, etc., and how Bob Iger has been making a lot of last-minute decisions and calls that's really impacting the company, and not in a positive way, in a more negative way, more than they even realize through the customer's perspective. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's happening with Brie Larson. Now, as I've always stated before in the past, I view the big threes, as I like to call them, Brie Larson, Rachel Zegler, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge are the most insufferable actresses that have been hired by Disney in general, alright? Now, we know that Brie Larson is going through a very big phase right now, given that The Marvels is set to debut still by this November, even though Bob Iger and the board, they want to delay this thing until 2024. The problem with doing that is if they do that, it's going to create a big rift where you're going to have a lot of other projects that will also be delayed because of the Marvels. So everything would be pushed, everything would be delayed as part of that as well. Now that brings us to the next big thing here, is that we know that Bob Iger is probably the worst CEO of all time over at Disney in my eyes. He lies, he always tries to say whatever he has to say to convince the general public that Disney is heading in the right path when it's not, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's interesting is, with actress Brie Larson set to make her return in the upcoming film The Marvels, still slated to drop by this fall, one big development has much to do with Brie Larson and her major problem with Bob Iger as of late. The main reason why Brie is having major issues with CEO Bob Iger has much to do with his recent cost containment plan that reportedly canceled several Marvel projects, many of which surprisingly involved actress Brie Larson and her return as Captain Marvel, along with the cancellation of a sequel to The Marvels that was going to be announced at this year's D23 event. Now, Brie Larson reportedly held heated arguments with Disney's higher-ups and holds a big grudge against Bob Iger for making the call and giving this plan the green light to cancel many said projects from Marvel that feature Brie Larson in it. Now, Larson took this personally and is now said to be holding an ultimatum against Disney that she is now unwilling to return to the upcoming Avengers movies unless many of the cancelled Marvel films go back on track and become a part of the Marvel slate again. Now guys, let me just pause here and say one thing about this before I get to the next piece of this development, is that this is the problem that I have with people like Phoebe, Brie, and Rachel, is that they are very egotistical, very ego-driven, to the point where if they don't get what they want, or if things don't go their way, they go on this big tantrum, this big rant against the bigwigs, against Disney in general, and how they try to fight against them. And at the end of the day, it all roots down to one basic thing. They know that they really can't get any great roles besides what they are being given by Disney specifically, of course. That's the ultimate truth. I mean, if you look at Brie Larson, almost everything that she has been in recently have been highly criticized, haven't done well at the box office. Fast X, by the way, did not perform well, and she so happened to appear in that film. Not a big surprise there. But what's interesting all the more so is the fact that Brie Larson is now giving Disney an ultimatum by not appearing in the upcoming Avengers movies. We're talking, of course, about, Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty, etc., stuff like that. And the fact that she got that angry to the point where she's making these ultimatums against Bob Iger and the higher-ups over at Disney to not return, and this is all because of a big effect by Bob Iger's cost containment plan that went active just 2 to 3 weeks ago, where a lot of Lucasfilm projects and, of course, Marvel projects got the axe, alright? Just got completely cancelled out of nowhere. Brie could not take this very well and had to actually hold this grudge up to the bigwigs. Now, this is where things get even more involved and more complex. And I do think that that's a reason why a lot of fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe really have a lot of problems with Brie Larson specifically, is that she can't take criticism well, and then she puts full blame on the fans if a movie fails, or she calls them misogynists if they don't like Captain Marvel or her portrayal of the character. And it's not a big surprise here that she's taking it up with Disney and she's putting all her anger out on, you know, Bob Iger for making these said calls. And look, I agree to an extent that Bob Iger's cost containment plan is going to do harm to the company, but at the end of the day, this is just revealing that, you know, Brie is a very egotistically driven person. Now, moving on from this, with Disney already taking Deadpool 3 off their release schedule, this is spelling doom for the upcoming Marvel release due to WGA, SAG, and bad decisions also made by Bob Iger. Now, about Deadpool 3, by the way, guys, it's not cancelled, it's just off their release schedule, so it's delayed indefinitely, which is sad but true. Larson now also wants to walk away from the other cameos that were planned for Captain Marvel in other Marvel TV shows, as well as she wants nothing to do with Marvel anymore because of this big change that Bob Iger initiated. Now, those like Larson and Phoebe Waller-Bridge are said to hold a big grudge against Iger for making such drastic decisions at last minute that are impacting both of their careers from Marvel and Star Wars and just Disney in general. More cancellations are planned to continue by Bob Iger during the fourth quarter of 2023 as Disney makes further adjustments to their film slates and spending patterns of these movies. Brie also is angry over the fact that the marketing for the Marvels took a major hit as well. So we talked about this earlier in the week, that the Marvels marketing is going to get slashed practically in half as far as how much they're going to spend on it. This ranges anywhere from commercials to TV spots to just regular ads on the internet. You're not really going to see as many of them in comparison to other Marvel movies out there, and this was a change that Bob Iger and the board decided on and passed it down to the marketing team for the Marvels. And I think at the end of the day, that's only going to hurt the film even more so. You know, if you're not promoting the thing, people are not going to be aware about it. And not that many people were going to check out this film anyway to begin with. It's pretty much a guaranteed box office failure, not just because of what director Nia said about how this is going to be the wackiest and silliest Marvel movie out of all of them combined, which really worried a lot of people, for those that were even looking forward to this film. I'm sure that Brie Larson wasn't too supportive over that statement by the director, making it openly clear that this film really isn't going to be all that great, basically, at the end of the day. She inadvertently admitted that. You know, that's basically what the director did there. So that's, of course, the bigger issue at large here, is that now Brie is giving Disney ultimatums, that she wants to walk away from Marvel for good and forever because of what Bob Iger recently did with the cost containment plan. And I'm not all that surprised because, look, people like Brie just don't care about what other people think in, you know, business relations or anything like that. So, anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.